Everybody, today we're going to show you how to set up your own recyclers for your custom server for Rust Console Edition for the PlayStation 4, the Xbox One, next generations, and everything in between. So this video is going to be broken up into two major parts, the manual way and the automatic way. You should be able to find these chapters next to the playhead here on YouTube or in the description of this video down below. In order to future-proof this video, if there's any major changes, additions, whatever, I'll have that video in the pinned comments down below this. Okay, so let's break it down to the manual way here first. This would be used if you want to do crazy locations or if your your wipe cycle is currently active in order to pull this one off, because the other one requires a very specific set of stages. So you need to be an admin in order to pull this off. So normally you would just find a location that you like, look in the floor, hit your admin buttons, which would be Y and A or triangle and X. Then you'll go to the command list and then hit X for the custom command. And this that's obviously for Xbox. And then you type in something like spawn recycler, if I know how to spell. But the problem with this is it doesn't do it by the reticle, it does it by coordinates, and it puts it at the origin of the map. That's not useful to anybody, is it? And so the problem is it ends up right here, which is the origin of the map, which is the 0, 0. And it's going to be at the bottom by the water, so not very useful. Should be right there. So you might be like, oh, that's cool, but maybe I could just turn on my chords on my map like I do now. Well, the problem with that is we don't have access to the Z coordinate, and that is very, very important. So, because of that, we have to do this very weird way of actually finding these coordinates. Because normally you would be able to do it right by the reticle. So, and I'm sure there's a reason why they turned that off. Oops, there we go. I have superpowers now. So if I wanted this here, I would go up here and then land myself. And then it's basically going to be wherever my player position is. So you're like, okay, that's cool. Let me bring up the admin command. Enter a custom, and then let me put in the command for finding my location, which is entity.find_self. And you type it in and it goes, hey, Jade, that doesn't work either. Well, here's the thing. This command works when you're not an owner. Yeah, that's crazy. So don't worry, since you have the G-Portal account and everything else, you should be good to go here where you can actually, not should be, you will be, because I'm actually going to remove myself as an owner. And then you'll put yourself as an admin, and then you'll be able to use this command. So I know people on PlayStation 5 don't have access to a web browser, so you may need to use your phone or a tablet, but try this first. Try messaging yourself g-portal.com and see if you can get to all of the menu commands and stuff that you need there. If not, then you'll have to go to your phone. All right, so in this case, let me just land here because it's actually going to disconnect me while we do this process. And I don't want anybody to get any weird stuff. So what we're going to do, I'm going to show you what this looks like here while I go ahead and load up my G-Portal. I actually took screenshots there, specifically from my phone. Oh, nice. It's actually already loaded up here, which is quite nice. But if you're on your phone, this is what it's going to look like. You go to your server, then you hit the old sandwich button, then you find the console command, so the left column, then the center column. You want to make sure it's tight, but you can see it there. You got a bunch of commands, and then you've got the command box down there, and that's where we want to be. So, all right, let me click over here to make sure we're good. All right, so they're actually on the edge for the Xbox, so that's our on console browser. Hello. Then I'm going to go down here to the command window, and I need to remove myself as the owner. Remove owner. And yes, use the quotes. Just get used to using quotes. We'll talk more about that here in a second. So I'm going to remove myself as the owner. And I should see this command show up right there. It says remove owner. Well, here's the thing. You need to add yourself as an admin because it cleans you out completely. So admin ID space, and then for me, quote, Jade space supremacy. And then you want to make sure that it shows up at the bottom here, right there. See where it says Jade Supremacy, added to admin? We're good to go. So now we can go back to the game. Let me go ahead and block this out for a second. It's actually going to disconnect me, so I'll have to go fully back in. But the reason why you want to use quotes is, and even if you're on PlayStation, because I know you guys don't support spaces, so you're like, hey, I don't need to worry about it. Well, the thing is, if you're adminning for your own server, you're going to have users that you're banning or promoting, whatever. So just get used to the fact where anytime there's a user ID, get used to putting quotes. It's just a good practice because otherwise you're going to have a lot of headache for yourself and you'll be like, man, I got so used to not using quotes, and then you kind of forget that there's quotes. So just take it from me. All right, so we're going back to our server. By the way, there's a nice secret command under the community tab. If you hit Y or triangle, you can actually search. And then here, we can type in Jade, and you know it's us because we have the bigger population. Hello. For some reason, people still think that if you copy my name, somehow that'll bring in people on your server. I was like, that's not how it works. That's not how it works. But that's all right. I get it. I feel bad because it's like you guys spent $20. Like, you know, pick a different name. At least you'll have a better chance of people spawning in. All right. So when we get back here, we're going to go back to that command, and then we'll get these specific chords that we are looking for. All right. Warm up. And we are in the next gen, so I was hoping it wouldn't take quite this long, but here we go. We got it. We got it. All right. So now that we're back here, we should be an admin. So just make sure that if you don't, then you can always go back to your phone and then type that back in again. It's this command here. Owner ID and admin. Well, I'm sorry. Don't add yourself as an owner. Add yourself as an admin. Hello. So once you're back here, double check to make sure you are an admin. So I'm going to turn G mode and vanish back on. I'm going to be right where I'm standing. Then we're going to try the same command. Y and A for me, or triangle and X on PlayStation. Go to the command list and then hit X for enter custom command. Now let's try. We're going to try to just get the chord position, right? So it's entity, if I know how to spell. Find underscore self. I always switch that around. So now this command should work. And you see a whole plethora of coordinates here. You're going to want to find the one next to player to the right. So those parentheses. So negative 926.2, 86. So everything inside of there. So essentially this command works like this. Pretty much anything you spawn has this set up. X, Y, and Z, and make sure there's no spaces between the quote or the commas. So for us, I already wrote this down. And yes, once you actually get those commands, just write it down or put it in your phone notes somewhere. It helps. So for me, it's negative 925.8, and then comma, no space, 86.0, comma, no space, negative 752.8. Let me double check to make sure I don't have any extra garbage in there. No spaces, commas. Now this should spawn exactly where I'm standing. So essentially we use the self command, or I'm sorry, the find self command to find our coordinates and then give a more specific call out to the recycler and where to go. X, Y, and Z. So if I did this right, hopefully I did. Did I? Oh man, I missed it. Where did it end up? Yikes, dude. All right, hang on. Let me go back and do it one more time. Oh man. Well, this is good. This is good because I've done this multiple times, and I want to make sure that, like, if you don't have the right location, then you can actually go back and fix it. So I think I skipped the negative on that one, which is, it's going to be floating somewhere. I'll find it later. But when that does happen, there is a way to actually remove that. So let me hopefully get this right the first time. I've done this so many times, and then the time we're doing this for a take, it's messed. All right, so negative 925.86, negative 752.8. Okay, now we have it. Okay, so that's where I was standing if you type it in correctly. So if you messed up like I did, or you're like, I don't like this position, now this command is based off of your reticle. So be very deliberate when you do this. So to remove this, I want to make sure I'm just looking at this and no structures, especially other player structures. You don't want to disrupt the economy or people's player experience. You're going to hit the admin panel again, hit custom command, and it's ent space kill, and it gets rid of that entity. And I'll have to go find where I put that rogue recycler later. So to move forward, if you are already in an active wipe and you want to put these recyclers in the prefab locations that Double 11's already determined, so the automatic way, I'll show you one of the locations here and a few others, but we'll show you another example to spawn this in and then delete it. Where is, I'm so lost. Where is the, there it is. This is where the dome recycler does reside when you use the automatic way. Oops, sorry. Let me slow myself down. I apologize. A little bit too fast. It's going to be here, and then I want to stand on the ground and then kind of look out in my, like, kind of where I want it. Wow. It's always going to be north, but for here we go back to the admin panel. Hit X. Now we're going to type in entity dot find, whoops, find underscore self. And now we have coordinates for that. Negative 616.7, comma 48, comma negative 786.0. So I can go back to the recycler command. I think I copied and pasted this one. Yeah, I've already got it. So you can see right there, X, Y, and Z. I'm going to hit enter. And now it spawns right here. And yes, you can actually use a keyboard. Believe it or not, it does not control the character in any way, shape, or form, but it helps you with admin commands like this. So any text boxes, you're all set. So since I already have a recycler here, I'm going to delete this one. So I want to make sure I'm very deliberate to where I'm at. There's no other crazy monuments or structures behind that. Go back to my command, enter a custom ent space kill to get rid of that one. And now we'll fly around and show you where the other prefabs are at. So if you want to add these manually, you can do so. So let's go to the ranch. And by the way, you can teleport on your map by pushing in your left thumbstick and then teleporting. I didn't know that for the longest time, so I thought I'd throw that in there, right? I just didn't know. So your ranch, which is the small stables, it spawns right here next to the vendor. And then let's see, what else are we close to here? We've got the fishing village. Large fishing village is going to be next to the nets, or on the nets. So right here. And now we can go over to things like the, we had the ranch, let's do barn. This one's interesting because it's a larger monument, so there will be 2 of these, and they're really close to each other, but it's nice. So barn has one here at the main entrance, next to the mission giver, or close to it, and then one just around the corner. These will help you when we're doing the manual way, or I'm sorry, the automatic and the manual way, I guess. And then down here, let's find another fishing village, which is right here. And then for me, I did one of the oil rigs, which is the small oil rig, because I figured usually big groups go to the large oil rig, so I wanted an option for the solo players or smaller groups. So, you know what I mean? Usually the big boys head for the large because it's got bigger loot. So I kind of left on purpose the recycler out of there. Let me go back to my, I need to be doing this faster. So this is where this recycler resides here. And then for me, I chose to turn on, let me go ahead and make my daytime a bit better here. For me, I chose the small oil rig to put the recycler. And you'll notice the way it's configured here, it's actually on the top floor, so people can't just drive up and recycle and then drive away. But again, it's going to be all personal preference. It's going to be on the top here, just off the corner. Ta-da! Very cool, right? All right, so let me show you one more thing before we go to the automatic way. Let me just go over by the large recycler, or I'm sorry, large fishing village recycler. There is a way to accelerate the recycle time itself. So let me go ahead and bring it down here. So as long as you're an admin, you should be able to do this. So again, admin panel, right to command list, and then custom. And then let's make sure I get this right. It's craft dot, and so if I just put this command in with no parameters, it's going to tell me what the current value is. So what the current time is. So this is craft.recycler start time, I think is 5 seconds. So if you wanted faster recycling, you could put this to 0.1. So that's another way you can do that if you'd like to. So you can do this from the console command as a custom entered command. All right, so now let's go over to the automatic way over on gPortal. And so you will need a browser, whether it's PlayStation 5 Trickery, or the on-console browser. Let me go ahead and just stand out here and go to my Edge. So when you go back to gPortal, you're going to want to go to basic settings under your server. So let me go ahead and, I know we've got it blocked out here for a second. I don't want to show the IP address. Or what I would like to avoid showing that. It's not going to do anything major, but I just want to make sure that it's good to go here. Once you're in your gPortal itself, you're going to go to the command where it says basic settings once you have your server selected. So basic settings. Let me get it all pulled up here, and now I can show the screen for you guys. So in here you see like name and everything else. So when you do this, okay, so let me rewind for a second. This should only be done for wipes because these are determined when the server actually does its build sequence, and that only happens during a wipe. So for me, these are my monuments that I chose to have it like already in position, but I did this during the wipe cycle. So let me go ahead and bring this up. This is the main command, so it's monument spawns dot enable config space, and then you put anything in there on the green. So every line for everyone that you choose. So you can see the example below, but you can also see the actual syntax there at the top. So for me, I did monument spawns dot enabled config space dome underscore recycler. So, and then I didn't put anything else. I just hit return, then I went to the next line. So I have dome, stables, oil rig small, and then the fishing village small and fishing village large enabled. So, but the only reason why this shows up for me now is because I did this I saved it, and then we rebuilt the server, or we, I guess not rebuilt it. I mean, we did rebuild the server, but we did a wipe. So I chose another seed, which is essentially a wipe. And so when it builds that, it does these commands, these custom boot commands when it does the build. So it added dome, stables, oil rig, so on and so forth. So that's why if you put these in now and save it, if it's not during a wipe, that's why you don't see it. But here's another caveat. If you want to just check to see if this works or you're typing this in correctly, you can do monument spawns .enabled config space cargo ship underscore recycler. That one does work. It's the exception. After you save it, and obviously the server restarts. But you can do this during the middle of a wipe because that monument is created and destroyed in real time. The other ones happen during the wipe cycle. So if you want to kind of test it to see if it works, you can always turn on the cargo ship recycler. That's how that works. So there you go. That's the automatic way. That's the manual way. If you're looking for any kind of configuration or any kind of fixes for your custom servers, we should already have it up on the end screen now. I know there's been a lot of questions, so hopefully that helps you out. And hopefully we see you in